Okay, guys, so today we have a testimonial video, and it's a little bit different to the normal videos that we do because normally I get students from my VIP course or my writing correction service, but the person that we're going to talk to today didn't give me any money at all. They just used my free materials to reach the goal that they needed to get to. So what we're going to do is just find a little bit more information about JC, and then he can give you some tips and some information about how he got the score that he needed. So JC, can you give people a little bit of background information about you?
Hi all. My name is JC. I'm a Filipino nurse. I'm practicing currently my profession here in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi particularly. I've decided to take my IELTS because I wanted to cross country. I wanted to practice my profession somewhere else, somewhere Western, if I may say. I took IELTS, my first IELTS, because I got my desired score on my second take. The first IELTS I took was last September. I used Chris Pell's teacher Chris, as I may say, free materials on the website IELTS Advantage, because my friend has been reading your materials before, and then she told me that your teaching methods are kind of, how do we say, chill, not so technical or something like that, not so scientific. She said to me that she can easily grasp every information. So I took the chance, and then I browsed the site. I found useful information. I mean, it's for free, but even if it's free, it has a lot of detailed information, which helped me a lot. I only had a month to review, and then I told myself I wanted to take the exam and open opportunities for me as a nurse, which means I need to get a band score of 7 in every aspect. I was focusing in the US application now, which I think they would allow us to have a 6.5 in writing, but most of the countries, like in Australia or in the UK, they require 7 in all aspects. I wanted to target that, even if I'm focusing in the US, so that I can widen my opportunities, as I've said earlier. So then, after reading and I actually took your writing free writing course for 5-day free writing course. Yeah. So I did that because I felt like I really needed to concentrate on writing, because that's when it gets technical. You have to follow the structures and all that. How do you interpret different kinds of graph illustrations in task 1 and task 2, how to generate the ideas. And to cut it short, I got the desired band score of 8, but then looking through each aspects, I got a 6.5 in writing. I was kind of disappointed, although I felt a little bit satisfied, because I know I can use that for my US applications. But then going back to my original target, I wanted to have a 7. Before that day ended, I decided to resit the exam. I booked another date for a month. So the result came September 21. I booked the date for the next exam, October 21 as well. And then I didn't use any review materials other than Chris Pell's materials. I wondered where I had a mistake, if I may say. I don't know what went wrong with my writing, because I got 8.5 in reading, 8.5 in speaking, 7.5 in listening, I believe. Yeah. And then 6.5 in writing. I said, what went wrong? I felt like my task 2 were a little bit over the top, not because of the vocabulary, but probably because of flying ideas here and everywhere. And then for task 2, for task 1, I'm not really sure. And then I went through your materials. There was this, I collected all your task 1 advices on how to interpret the bar graph, line graph, and then the maps and stuff. I decided to go into details, more into details, because the first time I did, I was just literally browsing and probably just getting the gist out of it. And then there was this specific, I will remember this. There's this specific tip on your task one, which means, which says on the overview paragraph after the paraphrasing of the question, right? And then the overview, you have to highlight all the pertinent details, like the trend, the highs and the lows.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I did that in the first time, but then I figured you specifically mentioned you do not mention numbers in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it snapped, like, oh, that's what I did. I don't know if that was, if that was the reason, but I felt like that might have contributed to a low score.
I mean, two things. One, this is a mistake that a lot of students make. Not a mistake, but what they do when they don't get the score that they need. They try and think of one thing that they did wrong. So like you did. And, if you put lots of details, lots of, numbers in the overview, that would be a mistake. But it wouldn't be the only reason why you didn't get the score that you needed, because you have to remember that the writing test, task 1 and task 2, you're given a mark for the totality of everything you did, not just one little thing. There's a lot of students I speak to, they say, oh, I did this one thing in paragraph 2 and that's the reason why I got 6.5, or well, no, it's not the reason why you got 6.5. There are probably many, many, many reasons why you got 6.5.
Right.
But the second thing I want to say is the reason why you improved and got the score that you needed is nothing to do with intelligence or English level or anything like that. I'm not saying that you're not intelligent or you don't have a good. What I'm saying is the point I'm trying to make is it's because of your attitude, what you did. So someone gets 6.5, they have two choices. One choice is to go like, oh, this is because of this teacher's fault or the British Council's fault, or I don't know, the weather that day, or just blame other things and other people. But you didn't do that. You did something completely different. And really the thing that you should do is think, okay, I got 6.5. What are the reasons why I got 6.5? Okay, here are the reasons, and here's how to fix that. And that's what you did. So that is an amazing thing that you did by yourself, because most students need a teacher to look at their writing and figure out exactly where they're going wrong. So you did an amazing job to do that by yourself. I think only about 1% of students can do that. 99% of students probably do need a little bit of extra help, especially with feedback. So you did an amazing job there. So if you were to give, so lots of people are in your position, especially nurses, where they need a 7 in writing and they got 6.5 in writing. Could you give them just a little bit of advice about your personal experience and what they could maybe do to go from 6.5 to 7?
Okay. For me personally, what happened is for someone taking the IELTS, you should really give an ample time for you to review the contents. Plus, aside from the technicals, you have to build up your confidence as well. Mm-hmm. And it would be someone's perception of how do they deal it, how are they gonna deal with their review tactics, if I may say. I mean, because it's a personal assessment anyway. And if I may share, my task 1 on my second exam, where I achieved the 7, I was actually under the word count. Okay. So that's what makes it more interesting. I had the time to count my my essay, and I knew it was under 150. It was even 130 or something, and then I had to tweak it a little bit to add more words, but I still didn't reach 150. Of course, I wouldn't advise people. I mean, if they're confident, but I mean, I was really surprised. Yeah.
I would like to jump in there and just to make very
yes, of course.
That is not a thing that you should do. You should not think, oh, don't
Never.
worry about word count. Word count is extremely important, and you should be, for task 1, over 150, task 2 over 250. So you must have done some amazing things in task
This
2
is why.
and some really good things in the rest of your task 1. So you got a band 7 in spite of going under the word count.
Yes, but I never go under the word count. But I mean, if you're going to practice and review, of course, I would still advise anyone to, uh, um, because it's an instruction, it's their requirement, so you should follow that. And I didn't mean to have it to have an undercount essay. It's just that that's what happened. So maybe because this is probably one of the biggest improvements I did, probably because of the idea generation, that I have more focus, especially on the task 2, which bears more score. And then, so yeah, my advice is you just study well. I would advise following the structures of the writing, because that's when it gets really technical. You wouldn't know what you will get. On the first exam, I got a bar graph. On the second one, I think I got the like compare 2 images. And so yeah, and then task 2, you'll never know what the topic is. So and as what Chris has mentioned to his students and his materials, review materials, keep it simple. I think that's what I did with the second one. When I told you in my first exam, idea is there, but it's just flies here and everywhere. I've thrown a lot. If on my second test for task 1 I was undercount, I believe I reached, I think, almost 300 on task 2 on the first one.
I mean, it's probably likely that you got maybe a band 8. There's no way of knowing. Maybe a band 8 for
I know.
task 2. It's I don't like to try and guess what people get, because that's not a good idea. But you must have done a really good job, and this is really difficult for people to understand and accept, but keep it simple and just focus on clear communication is such, it has helped more people, more of my students than anything else. The first piece of advice that you gave to students is really pertinent to nurses, where you said, give yourself enough time, because I think nurses, they're the most represented occupation on my VIP course and things like that. And the thing with what happens with a lot of nurses is they get a job offer from the UK or Australia, and the job offer is in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and they're like, okay, get me the score that I need immediately. And I was like, okay, some people that's possible. Other people, it could take 2 months, it could take 3 months, because there are a lot of nurses that are working 50, 60 hours a week, plus they have family commitments at home, and to get everything done in 3 weeks isn't really realistic. So that's really, really good advice for a lot of nurses out there. Any other advice specifically for nurses or doctors or anyone in the medical profession?
Focus on one teacher or materials, review materials. Because it's hard. Nurses or doctors, they've been through a lot of examinations, so they should know. Resources should be focused, because there are other review materials and teachers that would say otherwise. So you would be confused. So this is what I did. Even if I did not meet my goal on the first test, I still went back to Chris and IELTS Advantage, because I trusted them in the first go. It's just that I knew I had to dig deeper, because even as I will tell everyone, Chris Pell's materials is already, the free materials has already been there. It's a gift. It's already out there for the basic ones. But if you would really need to go on a deeper level, I would advertise you to get your. I would love that if you could have checked my writing, but then I also had this short time. But then I trusted myself also in that matter. Yeah, I just need that free one and navigate through it, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's why. The way I approach the business is, half my time I spend creating free materials and half my time I spend with my VIP students. So that's, it's fair for everybody. So if somebody wants to
Yeah.
give me money, they can, but if they don't, they can use the free materials. And I think that's a really important point that you made about like sticking with one teacher. So I'm not saying that so people will just stick with me, but if you
Right.
find any teacher that you really trust and is giving you good
Exactly.
advice, well, because what happens is a lot of students do the test, they don't get the score that they need, and they blame the teacher. So they just say,
Mm,
oh, it's the teacher's fault. He's teaching me something wrong, because that's a natural human thing to do.
right. Reaction. Yeah.
Because it's more difficult to accept, okay, maybe I did something wrong, and maybe I need to do a little bit more work. People don't want to hear that because it means that they
Of
have to do a
course.
little bit of work. But I really admire someone like you who did have that attitude, and that's the result now for you. So what are your plans for the future? Which country are you going to be nursing in?
Well, as I've told you, I've kind of been focusing in the US now. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
under me, I have got books for the nursing licensure
Mm-hmm.
in the US because that's where my parents are.
Oh,
So,
what
but I
part of the
still
US
want.
are they?
They're in Guam, the
Guam.
restored church. So
Okay.
it's near the
Okay.
Philippines. Yeah.
Okay. So you get nice tropical weather and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Oh,
been there. I was like,
that's
yeah.
nice. I'm going to Asia in January for some hot weather because it's getting a little bit too cold here at the moment. So,
Yes, I understand.
so thank you very much, JC, for sharing that. The really, really valuable information, especially for nurses and for people who might not have the money to, pay for an expensive teacher or something like that. Just do it all for free. And really, the number one thing to take from it is your attitude. Your attitude, you're an intelligent guy, but it wasn't your intelligence. Your English is great, but it wasn't your English ability. It was
True.
just your mindset and how you thought about that, which was so fair play to you. Thank you very much,
Yep.
JC, for
Thank
sharing
you very
that.
much, Chris. Thank you
And
so much.
good luck in Guam.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
See you later. Bye
Good
bye.
luck on your business as well.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.